Hey everybody, so today I'm here to give you guys a 1 year plus postpartum breastfeeding update. It's kind of hard to believe. I've been meaning to make this for a couple months now. Remy is going to be a year and 3 months in just a few days, which is crazy. But yeah, 1 year has came and gone and we're still at it. So I thought I would give you guys just a quick synopsis because I don't think that I've updated since 12 weeks. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself, but I will link the previous breastfeeding update before this one, whatever that one might be, in the Dropbox in case you're wondering between then and now how things have gone. But if you just want to stick around, I'm going to run through how it's been up to a year and kind of give you guys everything past then and tell you guys what's up, what my new goals are, if anything has happened. I'm just gonna fill you guys all in. So like the first 3 to 4 days of Remy's life, I was pumping every 2 hours on top of nursing because she had low blood sugars. I do not recommend that. Do not do that. For me, I think that's the root of some of my problems that I ran into, but that's what I was doing for her blood sugars at first. After her blood sugars came up, I went to only pumping after nursing, which slowly turned into a vicious cycle because my oversupply had totally kicked in. And then I pumped for every 2 to 3 hours around the clock until around 12, 14 weeks postpartum. And that is when I switched to basically every 3 hours during the day. And I only got up once in the middle of the night. I think it was like a 2 or 3 a.m. pump. I can't remember exactly. And I would get up again at 6 a.m., but I would go back to bed. And I don't technically consider that middle of the night because middle of the night pumps should be between 1 to 5, so it was right out of that range, but it was still kind of early for when my girls get up. So after I got done with it, I went back to sleep. At around 6 to 7 months postpartum, I dropped that middle of the night pump because I started sleeping through it. That's exactly what happened with Sophie as well. I kind of take that as a sign of my body is just too tired to do that anymore, and I let it go. However, I did have to start getting up at 6 o'clock when Mark left for work because I was just so engorged that I could not possibly go past that amount of time. So I would get up and pump and then go back to bed, like I said. At around 9 months postpartum, I started pushing my pumps to every 4 hours just because I needed more time. The girls were getting older and Remy was getting a lot better health-wise, so we could be out for longer periods of time. And it was just kind of getting really old pumping every 3 hours at 9 months postpartum. I wanted a little bit more time because I could get a lot more done in 4 hours than 3 for some reason. So that's when I started pushing them. Also, I knew that around a year I wanted to work myself into being at 3 pumps per day total. And that's what I was working towards. I'm just reading my notes really quickly. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to check and make sure that I didn't miss anything, and I didn't. But basically what I can say looking back is that for the first year, I focused on how frequently I was pumping, how many hours I was going between pumps. I wasn't worried about how many pumps per day, and I think that's really key in keeping yourself comfortable. It's key in keeping a well-maintained supply. I didn't worry about, I need to get this set of pumps in a day. I worried, oh, my 3-hour timer is up. And I get a lot of questions if I start the timer from the end of the session or the start of the session, and that is the end of the session. Now, some people will tell you the beginning because when you are nursing, you typically set your timer at the beginning, but that's for baby because baby starts feeding then. That's not having to do anything with your actual breast. So I would start your timer at the end. Also, if you're pumping every 2 hours and you're starting your timer when you start and it takes you 45 minutes to pump, you're only getting an hour in between pumps, and that's not good. So definitely start your timer at the end of your session and it'll give you more time, more leeway. Just definitely do it that way. So I'm trying to look down. Things that I wrote down that I've ran into over the last 12 months has been a lot of clogs. I mean, more clogs than I can even begin to count or remember. I did not have that experience with Sophie. I had maybe 2 or 3 clogs the whole time, and most of those being in the weaning process with Soph. I don't know why it is. I would venture to say my best guess is probably because of my massive oversupply. It made It made it really hard to empty this time around, and I think it honestly just made me more susceptible to clogs. I also did have a bout of mastitis, which made me want to curl up, shrivel up, die, and never breastfeed again. Was definitely there. Kudos to you moms who have apparently had it several times. You are goddesses. I just want you to know. If I ever got mastitis more than once, I'm not even lying when I say I would be done. That was so physically exhausting and emotionally and mentally. It was just such a rough time. I can't tell you how many times I looked at Mark and told him I wanted to quit within that first few days. Nevertheless, the 6 that followed, it was just horrendous. So I did deal with that. I had lots of pain and engorgement from my oversupply. Now, I'm not trying to complain. My oversupply is obviously something that I'm very grateful for. I'm fortunate to feed my daughters, and I can also feed other babies. I'm very, very thankful that I got to do that. I have donated thousands of ounces to other children in need, and I'm very proud of that because I worked hard for it. But it also came with its own trials and tribulations. I feel like I don't know how to put this. No matter where you stand in supply, there's always going to be pros and cons to it. Now, my pros are that I got to donate to other kids and I was able to have more than enough, and I'm glad that I got to do that, because if I could help another mom feel a little less pressured on how she's going to feed her baby, I will do that over again in a heartbeat. However, it did come with a lot of complications, and it was really hard on myself. Just mentally wanting to keep at this for this long was something that I had to work through, and I had to figure that out. So no matter what you're struggling with supply wise, I want you to know that you're not alone, because even if a mom's oversupplying and you're undersupplying, she's probably struggling as well. We can all help support each other. We're all going through stuff. Breastfeeding is so not easy, but we have each other, and that's something. But I'll get to that. Wow, I really went on a spiel there. So, no. Other stuff was like I had cracked nipples when I had mastitis. I think that was just from pumping to try and get the clog out. Thank you for Apno. If you guys haven't seen my video on how to make Apno for cracked and bleeding nipples, I will link that. It was a lifesaver. Love it. Let's see what else. Oh, vasospasms was something that I was fortunate enough to have this time around. And that was sarcasm if you couldn't tell. Vasospasms, oh, I should probably do a whole video on this just for those moms out there who are suffering through it as well. But basically, your nipple goes white, it's searing pain, it's awful. And I had them really bad in the winter time because they can be brought on by like cold air. It was just so bad. Unless I had my hands and my arms covering my boobs and I was layered and stuff, I would just have them a lot. And it was a lot of pain, and I couldn't find any relief other than just trying to stay warm. So in the wintertime, I would sit with a heating pad with like layers of clothes on and a blanket and the heat blaring so I could pump in like peace and not in pain. So that was just kind of some of the stuff I ran into. That was like a super quick synopsis, probably not for you, but looking back, it's hard to fit an entire year worth of breastfeeding into 10 minutes. I don't know, it was very, like I said, it was very taxing this time around, especially because Remy had her own medical things going on. We did spend a lot of time in the children's hospital, so I had to find a way to pump while I was there. And some days were spent in between out of testing and therapy and all kinds of other stuff. So I had to navigate all that. And also, I feel like just as a mom, I was worried about Sophie and being away from her and just juggling everything. So me finding the time to pump, that's something that I'm really proud of. Just thinking back to that time, it was a really hard time for all of us involved. So, it's hard for me to talk about. But yes, that is just something that I can't believe. When I was there in that position, I kept thinking, there's no way I'm going to make it out of this. I can't believe this. This is going to go on forever. And, you know, you kind of feel like it's impossible. And before you know it, you're on the other side and you've already done the impossible. So I don't know. the best advice that I can give you, being a year out of exclusively pumping, wow, I didn't even say that I was exclusively pumping at all in this, but a year out from exclusively pumping, I can tell you the best thing to do is to take it one day at a time. Do what's best for your family. If that means going a year of EPing, that means going a year of EPing. If you decide 3 days in that you need to supplement with formula, you supplement with formula. If 6 months down the line you want to quit, dry up, use your freezer stash and some donor milk, you do you, mama. Like, you just do whatever gives you peace. Okay, that's what we all need to be doing and focusing on, not anything else. But that is probably just my biggest thing, is also have confidence in yourself. You know, a lot of people, I had a lot of people, I wouldn't say doubt me, but I think they didn't understand what I was doing. They made their own suggestions of what they thought I should be doing, and I didn't care. It really didn't hurt my feelings. It didn't really upset me. I saw their good intentions with it, but I was confident in what I was doing. I was confident in my decision as a mom and what I wanted for her. So that is the best advice I can give, is to be confident, to take it one day at a time, and to get some support. Because like I said, this is not an easy journey, no matter how you slice it. Even if you have the most perfect breastfeeding relationship, whether that's exclusively pumping, exclusively nursing, something in between, and you have a perfect one, no hiccups, no nothing whatsoever, perfect, you still need support. You do. There's going to be days where you don't feel like people understand you. There's going to be rough days. Just whatever it might be, you're also emotionally going to need some support. I will leave 2 Facebook groups down below. They are my all-time faves. One I am an admin of. I have been an admin since it was started by my friend Josi Wolfenbarger. It is called Breast Bottle and Beyond on Facebook, and we accept all breastfeeding mamas, whether you're supplementing with formula, if you're tube feeding, syringe feeding, if you're exclusively pumping, exclusively nursing. We accept all breastfeeding moms. Now, the other one I'm going to link is a EP only group. They do not allow any kind of nursing topics, just for the, you know, consideration for mama's feelings in there. So I wanted to link one for each, because I am in those. I can attest that I like the way that, you know, the community is. They're nice, supportive, loyal women. So I'm going to leave those for you, because I know that those groups helped me through a ton this past year. So I want to give those to you. And some things that I want to mention of like where I am now. I am at 1 year, almost 3 months postpartum, like I said, and I am at 3 pumps per day. I pump when I get up. I pump around 3:30 in the afternoon, give or take an hour, and I pump right before I go to bed. I am so thankful for this routine, finally. It took a long time. It took me 3 extra months to get here. Every time I try to drop pump sessions, I did run into clogs. That's just something I think I'm going to have to deal with when it comes to my oversupply. But I am still like chugging away, still doing it, still rocking it. I feel like at this routine, things are a lot more sustainable. I feel a lot less like the next day I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna quit, you know. So I feel like at 3 pumps per day, this is definitely a lot more doable. It lets me have a life, and I really only have to worry about 1 pump during the day, you know, because I'm normally home in the morning and I'm normally home right before I'm gonna go to bed. So that 1 pump in the middle of the day, if I do think that I'm gonna miss that, like tomorrow we are going to IKEA to get a lot of furniture, so I know that at 3 o'clock I'm probably gonna be in the middle of IKEA. I am going to pump before we leave, which is probably definitely gonna throw me off, but at this point I don't care. Everything after a year, I told myself, was gravy. If I make it, I make it. If I don't, I don't. I don't really care. So, you know, it's gonna throw me off a little bit. I might pump 4 times tomorrow. That wouldn't be necessarily a bad thing. So I'm just taking it day by day, just like I told you guys, because everything changes constantly, and my supply has dropped quite a bit. basically in half since when I very first started. Now I've been chipping away at that a little bit. It didn't just cut in half overnight, and that was on purpose and intentionally because I did want to slowly decrease it. Obviously, if you have a massive amount, it just gets uncomfortable. So I didn't want to be at 3 pumps per day and produce what I used to, because that would just be excruciating. So I have worked on decreasing my supply, which has been a very delicate balance to make sure that I don't lose a ton at the same time. So if you guys are interested in an oversupply video, I will definitely do that. I don't want this video to be all about that though, because I know that that's a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and I can understand that. I was a low supplier at first with Sophie, so I totally get you. I wanted to punch people in the face like myself when I was there. I'm just looking down at my notes. Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say is I still occasionally get clogs for no good reason. I just will like wake up with one, or I'll just have one in the middle of the day. And I still wear like loose clothing and everything, but just something I'm kind of used to. I'm pretty good at getting them out. I don't do a ton of hand expression anymore. Honestly, I've found a better way to release my clogs, and that's the whole shaking of the boob thing. And hand expression is only if I'm desperate. The last few things that I want to talk to you guys about, I didn't mention Remy's feeding schedule. She has had difficulty in that area of her life for quite a long time, and that kind of inhibited her from having a normal feeding schedule as most kids would. That's something that's not new if you've been around for a while, but she struggled with GERD, failure to thrive, feeding aversion, silent reflux, you name it, we went through it, dysphagia. So we had to work on that for a really, really long time, and it wasn't until recently that we got Remy off of most of her night feeds. We used to have to dream feed her when she was an infant. That was the only way she would ever eat, was if she was asleep and we got the bottle in her mouth and she wouldn't really know what was going on, so she would, you know, drink a little bit. That's what we used to have to do with her as an infant, and she kind of took that habit into over a year. But her nutrition is more important than bad habits, and she is not the norm. You know, that's what our pediatrician was saying, that this is necessary for Remy to do. It's not just something that's a bad habit. So we have gotten her off most of those feeds because she's now eating 3 meals a day and snacks and just like a regular routine finally. Definitely a lot of progress was made with her. If you want to see a full update on Remy, I already have one on my channel, but yeah, that's why I didn't mention that, because that's a big part of EPing is your kid's eating schedule. But Remy definitely never had a normal one. I also wanted to mention that pumping with 2 kids was something that I was curious about how it would go, and honestly, I don't know if it's because Sophie grew up with me pumping a lot just for her, if she was just kind of used to it. But there was like the interested phase of like 2-3 weeks where she was like, what are you doing? Let me play with everything, let me touch everything. And then she got out of that phase pretty quickly when she saw that she's not allowed to do that. But it was very doable. Honestly, I don't think, in my opinion, it was any harder than pumping with 1 child. I feel like all in all, it really wasn't that bad in my personal opinion. Now, as far as my goals of like where to go from here, I do want to make it to 2 years. That's where I'm hoping to make it. Like I said, everything past a year to me was just whatever. I wasn't going to put any pressure on myself, so if I wean tomorrow, then I wean tomorrow. I would just love to make it to that 2 years for a lot of different reasons. Remy still takes my milk just fine. Sophie is starting to kind of refuse it. It's just not her favorite anymore. She used to like guzzle it down, but now she definitely prefers her almond milk, which kind of stings a little bit, but you know, whatever. She's almost 3 years old, so that's amazing to me that she'll still drink it from time to time. But yeah, looking back, it's kind of crazy. I can't believe that I'm here. Feels like it took forever, but it also went by in a blink of an eye somehow. Funny how that works. I don't know, I feel like I should have something very wise to tell you guys, but again, it's just all taking it one day at a time, doing what's best for you, being confident in that, and having support. Those things, hands down, are just so important. And If you guys have any specific breastfeeding videos that you would like me to do, leave them down in the comments. If you have a specific exclusively pumping video you would like to see, let me know. If you are a breastfeeding mama, I hope your journey is going well. If it's not, definitely reach out. I want to help you get support. I want to help your journey get better if you need it. If you are a mama who's expecting, congratulations. I hope all goes well. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.